Hey, welcome back to Home is Columbus. My name is Rance Robinson. I am your Central Ohio realtor. I'm here to help you with all things real estate pertaining to Columbus, Ohio, and our incredible suburbs. Columbus is a great place, and Columbus is booming. You'll hear me say that all the time. If you read my blog post or you go to homeiscolumbus.com and check me out there, you will see that Columbus is booming. It's a boom town. Great things are happening. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, Columbus is still one of the best places to be. I will call it the gem of Ohio. And this is the channel where I make sure that my buyers, my sellers are up on game with everything that has to do with real estate. I want you to be successful, whether you're buying or selling a home. I want you to have success at the closing table. And that's the purpose of this. I talk about various subjects, and today's subject is a really important one, okay? Because we're talking about FHA appraisals and FHA inspections and how to make sure you can get to the closing table if you're using an FHA loan to buy. So if you feel like I don't need to hear this, I'm a conventional buyer, trust me, there's some information in here for you. So before you do anything, I need you to smash that like button. I also need you to subscribe to this channel. And if you happen to know somebody who is looking to buy or sell here in Central Ohio, please make sure that you share my channel. I want to make sure that people get the best shake. Even if you do not hire me as your agent, I want to make sure that you are knowledgeable and that you have all the game in the world so that you can have the best transaction possible when you get ready to buy, or you're ready to sell, or you're ready to buy and sell. I got some information for you. So we talk about Columbus here. We talk about Central Ohio. We talk about the suburbs. I'll let you guys in on what's happening when it comes to buying and selling real estate. All right. So Home is Columbus is the brand, and I'm glad that you made it to the channel. All right. So let's get going on FHA inspections, what to expect. I want you guys to know exactly what inspectors are looking for, because if you are buying a house with an FHA loan, then that means that you are using a loan that is backed by the government. Okay. And so merely what that is it's a government insured loan that allows you to purchase, not only to purchase a home, but you only have to put down 3.5%. And so, you know, on a $80,000 purchase, if you're so lucky to buy a house that's only $80,000 these days, that's only going to be roughly $2,800. Okay. So it takes away the stigma of the 20%. So a lot of buyers who are buying with conventional loans, oftentimes, if you're in a position to put down 20% on a house, congratulations. For one, congratulations. But for two, the other part to that equation is it's important for you to know that you don't necessarily have to put down 20% even as a conventional buyer. Now, there are various standards that you need to qualify for a conventional loan that you may not necessarily need to qualify for an FHA loan. Sometimes the credit score requirement can be lower than a conventional loan. With a conventional loan now, because they want to compete, because there's so many FHA loans out there, a lot of times they'll allow you to put down 5%, 10%, up to 20%. Maybe there are some, depending on how good your credit is, you may be able to go as low as 3% on a conventional loan with some lenders. Now, it's pretty standard with the FHA. It's going to be 3.5% down. And of course, you can always pay more if you need to do that. A lot of times, there may not be a benefit for you to pay a whole lot more in down payment, because for every $1,000, sometimes you're only chopping off about $12 to $15 a month in that payment. Now, where that can matter is in the PMI, right? So a PMI is private mortgage insurance, and that's something that FHA borrowers have to pay. So if you default on the loan, you're paying for the private mortgage insurance that comes along with a federally backed loan. Okay, guys, so the FHA wants to make sure that you don't default. And one of the most important parts and aspects to this is making sure that the house that you're buying can pass inspection. Now, disclaimer, if you're an investor, can you buy an investment property with an FHA loan? Yes, you absolutely can. Even flippers. I got people in my city that flip properties with FHA loans. Now, the only caveat to that is you got to hold the house for at least 90 days. So that means that you're working on the house. If you have a team and you guys are used to doing quick flips, oftentimes you're going to have a conventional buyer only. So that means you're going to have to keep FHA buyers out of the equation. So that can be one of the issues with trying to flip with an FHA loan. But if, let's say you're a person who knows, you're a handyman, you know how to beautify homes, and you know you're going to need the time, then it's not going to be a problem, right? You're going to factor that into your holding costs and you're going to get that deal done because that's what you do, because you're great with your hands. Okay. So let's talk about what's important on an FHA appraisal, because guys, here's where this matters. Oftentimes you'll find a house that you like, you're buying it with an FHA loan, and the lender has to make sure that you're not getting a lemon. They have to make sure that there are certain standards that are in place for you to move into that house. One of those most important ones, okay, so I'm going to start with this one. When an FHA appraiser pulls up to your home, they're looking at the paint, they're looking at the siding. They want to make sure that there's nothing peeling. Peeling paint is an indication of lead-based paint. Lead-based paint, paint chips, there have been lawsuits, there have been news. We all know that lead-based paint and lead in general has very adverse effects on health. Okay, so I'm kind of a health nut. That's one thing that I love is good health. And one thing that I want to make sure is that my buyers are moving into a home that's safe for them, their families, their future families, or anybody who's going to come in contact with the premises, right? And lead-based paint is not one of those things that we want. Now, a lot of the times, most of the paint that's out there that exists is water-based or it's latex. And so we're not dealing with lead-based paint because a lot of lead-based paint has been outlawed, right? So it's not like you can just go and utilize lead-based paint because we now know the adverse effects. But that's something that you cannot have when the inspector pulls up is peeled paint, chipped paint, and a lot of paint damage. All right. So luckily, a lot of houses now have aluminum siding where the color is kind of on it and you don't have to worry about paint chipping. But in the event that you are buying a home that has some age, has some character, this is something that they're going to look for. Now, another thing that an FHA appraiser is going to pay attention to is the roof. When they pull up, they're looking at the roof. They're looking at the exterior of that to see and to ensure that the age of the roof has at least 2 years left. Okay, so from the moment that you're going to buy this house, they want to ensure that there's at least 2 years on that roof, right? Right. Okay. So that's important. And so the shingles matter, what the shingles look like. And there's something that they also do when they enter the home is they're looking at the ceiling to ensure that there are no brown spots on the ceiling. Those brown spots indicate that there is a water intrusion somewhere. And they're trying to avoid that for you. So they don't want you, the government doesn't want you to buy a home and your lender doesn't want you to buy a home that has a bad roof. You get into this roof, let's say you're a first time home buyer and you cannot afford to fix or replace the roof. Now you have a home that you're ready to walk away from. You decide home ownership isn't for me. I'm going to foreclose. The government now has to hold that loan until they sell it, right? The government, the banks that offer FHA loans, they are not in the business of beautifying properties. That's not what they want to do. They want you to get into a house that you're going to beautify and take care of, and they're going to make sure that you're doing that, okay? Another thing that you must have are your bathrooms, your sinks, faucets, all of those must be functioning. So all of your utilities have to be on, but the sinks have to work. The toilets have to work. And that is something that I've seen happen where they didn't work, And so where this comes in with investors, and this is what I'm talking to you guys about. If you're an investor, you must understand that even if you're going into this property, you're going to buy at FHA, there are some certain aspects that have to work. You're going to have the utilities on. There's going to have to be a functioning bathroom for the FHA to approve your loan, and the water is going to have to work. Okay, so make sure that those things are at least in the baseline working. Okay, now if you're buying a house that somebody's living in and they've taken care of the home, a lot of these issues are not issues. Okay, so that's also a positive thing. All right, so don't forget, one thing that's not going to fly are broken windows, broken doorknobs, broken doors. So a lot of that type of stuff has to be repaired. It has to be functioning. It has to have a semblance of correction. So you have to make sure if you're getting into a home, make sure that the windows there's no broken glass. There's no, and you're hoping that something unfortunate doesn't happen. You're moving into a beautiful residential neighborhood. Kids are playing baseball, and the day of your inspection, pink, and glass is shattered. That's something that you're hoping doesn't happen, right? You can't control the uncontrollables, but typically the worry is if you're buying a property as is, you may be afraid that the owner is not going, or the seller is not going to want to rectify that property. Okay. Oftentimes sellers want to sell. So if they went into contract with you knowing that it's an FHA buy, hopefully the listing agent has talked to them about what to expect so that on their side, they're ready for the to do well in the inspection, and you're also, getting a house that's up to par. So both sides are working on this. Everybody wants everyone to win. Typically, unless it's a hostile seller and there's a hostile situation for the sale or a reason they don't want to sell to you, but usually everyone's working together. So hopefully the listing agent on the list side is making sure that things are together, because the FHA appraisal and inspection is important to them too. We all want to get to the closing table. Trust me. Okay. Now, when the inspector pulls up, they're going to be checking to make sure that the driveway is in good condition, that there's not a huge divot or something like that can cause injury or problems. Sidewalks, same thing. So the goal is to make sure that you're getting into a property that's in good living condition and that can be a functioning home. Just remember that functioning home is what you're looking for. But these are specific things that an FHA inspector and appraiser are looking for. Trust me, I talk to them and I know, and this is how they roll. Okay. So I want to make sure that you're up to speed and that you're getting everything that you need for this. Now, if you're buying in a rural area, I need you to understand that they may be looking at, if there are storage tanks or septic tanks or anything like that, there's a certain distance, I believe about 300 feet from the property, that they want those items to be. So just know, if you're moving into a more rural area where there are opportunities for those type of peripheral utilities, I won't call them amenities, utilities, those are some things that they can be looking at. So they may be looking at water tanks above ground, septic tanks that are above ground, and things like that to make sure that they are a certain feet. Now, you may get an appraiser who's a complete stickler, but oftentimes your appraisers are not going to be so if it's 299 feet from the property, they're not going to say, hey, you got to move this a foot before that's a worst case scenario type of thing. Okay. So make sure that you're up to speed on these things. I want you to, do a Google search and look for deeper information and check and talk to appraisers in your area. See if you can find somebody, but really talk to your agent, especially if you're selling and you didn't choose me. Make sure you talk to your agent. If you are buying and you didn't choose me, talk to your agent. But hopefully I'm your guy here in Central Ohio and you're going to let me help you. So I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope that I was able to give you some information to understand FHA appraisals and what that could entail on the sale or the purchase of your property, so that you're completely up to speed, you're completely up to par on making sure that you get to the closing table. All right, so thanks for tuning in to Home is Columbus. Once again, I'm Rance Robinson. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like on this, pass this off to somebody that you know who's selling and they got an FHA buyer or anything like that. But make sure you reach out to me, hit the links below, come to the website, check me out, let's connect. I would love to represent you on a deal and make sure that you get the best experience, whether you're buying or selling. I'm Rance. I hope you have a great day.